Good evening, folks. It's your bro, Richie here. So tonight's video is now part 3, presumably, I think. Part 3, I think, on the GM LS based small block motor. So, tonight in this video, I'll be talking to you all about the next version of this motor, which requires a lot of high speed for this, because this one is going to take forever. Tonight in this video, I'll be talking to you about the next LS motor, which is the Gen 4 motor from 2000 2005 to 2020. So, before I start, make sure you guys all like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. Comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell and hit all so you literally don't make pretty uploads. Alright, so without any further ado, let's begin. So the Gen 4 from 05 to 2020. God lord. Okay, overviews first. As always, let's do it. So manufacturers obviously by GM. Or General Motors. So manufacturers by GM or General Motors. It's also called Vortec. Production was from 04 to 2020. Next is layout. Configuration was a 90 degree. Configuration was a 90 degree V8. Displacement was the 4.8 liter 293, 5.3 liter 325, 5.9 volt 6 liter almost 360. So 5.9 volt 6 liter almost 364. So 6 liter 360. 6 liters 364, 6.2 liter 376, and the legendary 7 liter 427. Cylinder bore was 96 millimeters, 3.78, nearly 3.8 inches, 101.6 millimeters, 4 inches dead on, 103.25 millimeters. Okay, so for cylinder bore, 96 millimeters, 3.78 inches, 96 millimeters, 3.78 inches, 101.6 millimeters, 101.6 millimeters, 4 inches, 101.6 millimeters, 4 inches dead on, 103.25 millimeters, 4.065 inches, 104.8 millimeters, 104.8 104 okay, 103.25 millimeters, 4.065 inches, 104.8 millimeters. So 103.25 millimeters, 103.25 millimeters, 4.065 inches, 104.8 millimeters, 4.126 inches, and 106.3 millimeters, 4.185 inches. Next is the piston stroke. So it's around 83 millimeters, 3.3 3.27 inches, nearly 3.3 inches, well, 83 millimeters, 3.27 inches, 92 millimeters, 3.62 inches, 101.6 millimeters. Wait, piston stroke, 83 millimeters, 3.27 inches, 83 millimeters, 3.27 inches, 92 millimeters, 3.62 inches, 101.6 millimeters, dead on at 4 inches, and 104.8, so 101.6 millimeters, dead on at 4 inches flat, and 104.8 millimeters, 104.8 millimeters, 4.126, 4 point, 104.8 millimeters, 4.126 inches. For the materials, for the cylinder block was both aluminum and cast iron. For the excuse me. So for the materials, for the cylinder block, was made from both aluminum and cast iron. For the cylinder head was just aluminum. Valve train, overhead valve, two valves per cylinder. Combustion is next. For the supercharger, it used an E10. For the supercharger, it used an E10 4-lobe Roots type supercharger for both the LS9, and LSA V8. Fuel system and fuel type was a sequential multi-port fuel injection that ran on both gasoline and E85. Oil system was both a wet and dry sump. Cooling system was water cooled. Chronology is next. Predecessor was Gen 3. Successor was Gen 5. Alright. So, moving on. So, Gen 4 05 to 2020. So, in 2004, 1 year before I was born, the Gen 3s superseded by the the Gen 3 superseded by the Gen 4. This category of motors as provisions for high displacement ranges up ranges up to 7.4 liters. It says 7.4 liters. And power output to nearly 780 horsepower. Pretty good. Nearly 800 horsepower is pretty good. Based on the excuse me. Based on the Gen 3 design, based on the Gen 3 design of the Gen Gen 4s designed with displacement on demand in mind. A tech that allows every other cylinder and fire. A tech that allows every a tech that a tech that allows every other fire. A tech that allows every other cylinder in the firing order to be deactivated. It can also accommodate VVT, variable valve timing. A 3-valve per cylinder. A 3-valve per cylinder designs originally slated for the LS7, which would have been a first for a GM pushrod motor, but the ideas shelved owning the design complexity. but the ideas shelved owing to design complexities, and when the same but the idea shelved owing to design complexities, and when the same 2 valve configuration as the other Gen 3 and 4 motors proved to be so, so but the idea shelved owing to design complexities, and when the same 2 valve configuration as the other Gen 3 and 4 motors proved to be sufficient to meet the goals proved to be sufficient to meet the goals for the LS7. Next is the 4-liter bore blocks from '05 to 2020. So this family of blocks was the first of the Gen 4 small block, with the LS2 being the progenitor, whatever you call it, of both this family and Gen. This family of blocks, this family of blocks is seen, this family of motor blocks, so this family of motor blocks has seen a wide range of applications from performance, from performance cars to truck usage. Starting off with the first one is the 6-liter. So the Gen 4 so the Gen 4 6000's a V8 that displaces 6 liters, 364 cubic inches. Well, 364.4 cubic inches from a bore and stroke of 101.6 by 92 millimeters, 4 by 3.622 inches. It features either a cast iron or aluminum block with cast iron heads. Certain versions feature variable cam phasing, AFM active fuel management, and flex fuel capability. Next is the mighty LS2. The LS2 is introduced. The LS2 is introduced. So the LS2 is introduced. So the LS2 is introduced as the Corvette's. So the LS2 is introduced as the Corvette's new base motor for the '05 model year. It also appeared as a standard. It also appeared as a standard power plant. It also appeared as a standard power plant for the '05-06 GTO. It produced at 6,000 RPM for power and 4,400 RPM for torque. It produces 400 horsepower. Pretty good. 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet, 542. 542 newton meters of torque. A slightly larger displacement of 6 liters. So from a slightly larger displacement of 6 liters. So from a slightly larger displacement of 6 liters, it's similar to the high performance LS6, but with improved torque. Throughout the RPM range. The LS2 uses the 243 or 243 casting heads or headers used on the LS6, although without the sodium filled valves. A smaller camshaft and an additional 18 cubic inches, 290 cc's. The compression of the LS2 is also raised to 10.9 to 1. So the compression of the LS2 is also raised to 10.9 to 1 compared to the LS1s. So compared to the LS1s, 10.25 to 1. And the LS6s, does it? So LS6s, I can't really say that well usually. So and the LS6 is 10.5 to 1. The LS2 in the E series, the LS2 in the E series HSVs are mounted So the LS2 and the E series HSVs are mounted in Australia to both the Chevy Trailblazer SS, so Chevy Trailblazer SS, and the Saab 97X Aero are rated at either 395 or 390 horsepower from '08 to '09 and 400 pound-feet, 542 newton-meters of torque due to a different, sometimes referred to as a truck, intake manifold that so due to a different, sometimes referred to as a truck intake manifold that produces more torque at lower RPMs. The LS2 is also used as the basis of the NASCAR spec motor that's used as an so the LS2 is also used as the basis of the NASCAR spec motor that's used as an optional motor in NASCAR's Cup in NASCAR's Camping World Series East and West divisions, starting in 2006 and starting in 2010, may also may also be used on tracks shorter than 1.25 may also be used on tracks shorter than 1.25 miles in the CWTC Camping World Truck Series. A version of the NASCAR V8 cylinder block cast in compacted graphite iron by Grainger and Worrell won the UK's Casting of the Year Award 2010. Next we got is the L76. The L76 is derived from the LS2, and like the LS2, it features it features an aluminum block. However, the L76 does feature AFM, active fuel management, while the displacement on demand techs disabled on Holdens, the Australian cars. The so while the displacement on demand tech so while the displacement on demand while the displacement on demand techs disabled on Holdens, this feature is enabled on the '06 Pontiac G8 G8 GT and subsequently refitted in the '09 model Holdens with AFM enabled, but only on so refitted in the '09 model Holdens with AFM enabled, but only on with AFM enabled, but only on models fitted with a 6L80 automatic gearbox. The motor also meets Euro 3 emission requirements. So Euro 3 emissions requirements